the use of strategic metaphors, one can tap into the resurgence of creative energy. Who better than Taylor Swift herself? While she needs no introduction, I feel like I have to acknowledge the fact that she has been one of the greatest sources for people to channel their emotions through musical connections. Hey, Swifties and non Swifties, everyone. I am Helia. I like to paint, sometimes portraits, sometimes things that capture my intrigue. And today I am painting Miss Taylor Swift. And this is from her era stage. Can you tell from right now which era is this from? I'm sure you will be by the end of it. We know too much. We study hard as Swifties. Mastermind of Metaphors, Taylor Swift. Chapter 1. What are metaphors and why do they make us make sense? So the use of metaphors in language and even in therapy has been going on for a really long time, and there is a specific reason to why metaphors have been used in therapy. And I wanted to take that angle. We do know metaphors exist in linguistics and what their meaning is, why they're there. But let me introduce a more therapeutic aspects of why metaphors work so well. Van der Heid in 1983 described that when therapists use very strategic metaphors that are individualistic to the person in front of them and are very catered to the problem that they're going through, that metaphor can help in resurgence of insight, of creative energy, and even emotional insight. The use of metaphoric language is often encouraged to develop one's own idiosyncratic language, and that is why metaphors are so important in therapy. But let's get into it. So, in figurative language, like metaphors are part of figurative language, they are seen as metonymic expressions. I may be butchering that pronunciation, but anyway, what metonymic expression is an interplay between logic and emotion. So, simply put, it's a process of substitution where the reader is brought to an understanding of a concept, not by a full realization of, but by a small part which stands in for the whole. This definition was given by Hunter in 2007. Paul Ricoeur, I'm definitely not pronouncing that right, but I'm really sorry that I'm not, mentioned that metaphors in verbal conversation works as a bridge between two languages, the logical rational thinking language and the analogical or the emotional, imaginative and affective functioning language. So it's an attempt to bridge these two. And we all know who's best with bridges, Taylor Swift. I'm gonna keep doing this in the middle, so I apologize in advance if it's annoying. So basically, if you get that reference, I love you. So basically, Taylor Swift is helping us bridge that gap of emotional and logical brain through her music. She's connecting that bridge between emotional expression as well as thoughts that go in it together. And therapists use metaphors in all sort of different therapeutic perspectives and approaches. Let's get into the psychoanalytical view of metaphors. In this approach, it is believed that metaphors are not only a phenomenon of language or thought, but a mentation. And mentation here is referred to any mental activity that includes thoughts, feelings, and desires. And in this view, metaphors are used in terms of something else, in terms of another time, in terms of tapping into the unconscious motivations, unconscious aspects of the self. To use one of the most popular metaphors in Taylor Swift's discography is August slipped away like a bottle of wine. So when we say that metaphor is understanding one thing in terms of another, we are trying to understand the passage of time that is in August through how the time passes when one has a bottle of wine, or how time slips away when we are drinking. Pretty standard, right? But that's what they're kind of trying to say. When we use metaphors, we are trying to understand something in another aspect, in a deeper, greater, substitutional aspect. But it provides a better understanding of the thing that we are trying to understand. Like, I can just say the August is passing by so fast, but then it's not the same as August slipped away like a bottle of wine. I know how it's looking right now, but I want you to trust the process. Thou shall trust the process, please. And after the psychoanalytical view, I wanted to move into the approach of shared and communal metaphors. That is more of analytical psychology by Carl Jung. So we know that metaphors are found a lot in symbols and myths around different cultures. Different things mean differently. And what Jungian psychology or analytical psychology says is that there is a sense of shared anxieties or shared bodily experiences, which we call the collective unconscious, through which metaphors arise. Jung called it that part of the psyche which retains and transmits the common psychological inheritance of mankind. He used them as archetypes, and there are those commons like the shadow, the psyche, the self, the mother, father, masculine, feminine, all of that. After the analytical comes the cognitive approach of metaphor. The cognitive approach is basically stating that we actively construct this cognitive representation of our own reality based on our knowledge. These mental constructions are means of expression. They use figurative language, and metaphors are figurative language. So in cognitive psychology, the metaphoric cognition is basically an expression of language using words, or like the verbal aspect of expression. In this, they are using this verbal metaphors or word pictures, as they call it, to convey meaning. Saying goodbye is death by 1,000 cuts. Flashbacks waking me up. Get drunk, but it's not enough, 'cause morning comes and you're not my baby. Using death by 1,000 cuts provides a visual connection through the idea of pain. It's just an encouraged form of visualization. In therapy, people are asked or encouraged to visualize and verbalize how they might be seeing their situation, kind of putting a more visual aspect to where did you feel that hurt, how was that hurt experienced within your body. It's giving a more personal nuance to the situation, to the hurt.
So it's not just hurt, it's so many different points of hurt that are there all over the body, aching all the time, and not knowing which to get to first, where to heal, what to do, because all of them at all times are just hurting.
Also, it is facilitating a sort of mind-body connection where your mind is feeling the hurt, but your body is also experiencing that hurt. So using this metaphor is combining the two experiences. Moving to a neuropsychological theory of metaphor. This would be more like biological related. Okay. So research has shown that our right hemisphere of the brain gets activated when we are processing metaphorical communication. And interestingly, the portion that is activated is also involved in mediating our emotional and imagistic processes. So, in the neuropsychological theory, psychotherapists and researchers argue that metaphor provides the bridge between the left and the right hemisphere, because the left hemisphere is largely concerned with a linear or analytical communication, while the right side is more emotional and imagistic, as they said. So when we use a metaphoric thought or a metaphoric statement, the idea is that it functions as more of an ambiguous stimuli. So it's like, oh, we have to make sense of this that is not readily available to us to process. So it engages and arouses activity in both of our hemispheres. So we are engaging our left and right brain while processing metaphors. So it's like a holistic sort of a integration.
For the example of this section, I thought I am going to use the song which is underrated in my opinion, which is The Last Great American Dynasty. And I'm going to be very honest, even I thought that this song wasn't the most standout song initially, even though I really liked it. I really liked the song, but then I did not know the meaning behind it. I did not know Rebecca, I did not know the story, I did not know how she was perceived. But when I did, that song completely changed for me. Like that entirely, that transformed the meaning of this song, and just the likability of this song just like tenfold increased and thousandfold increased. I don't know, I fell in love with the song. And when I found out the meaning, I got goosebumps when the line came, and then it was bought by me. Died dead. Rest in peace, me. Oh my god. Her drawing parallels to how Rebecca was perceived in the past by her life choices and her lifestyle. And Taylor Swift being seen in the same way, being so loud and everything that she is criticized for. Also, why I was using this example is because after finding out the meaning, I was able to connect emotionally to the person who lived so long ago, what she went through, being perceived as this person who is, or the socialite, and not very positively perceived. And it's just showing light on also that women living a certain way or women living a certain lifestyle is always under criticism and scrutiny by the world. And that right there was why there was like not only 10,000 but like 100,000,000 fold why I fell in love with the song even more than I already was.
Okay, moving on.
And finally, in terms of theories, I also wanted to talk about how metaphors are grounded in the development of human beings, like how it starts at infancy and how it actually affects the way that we connect with the world. According to Johnson, we usually categorize our experiences based on our interaction of the self and the body with the external environment. Here, Johnson is saying that the body or the self is often referred as the container, the self that contains everything, the emotions, the thoughts, affects, all of that. So when there's an experience of like an emotion, joy, sad, whatever that is, it is through our interaction with the external world. It's the self experiencing the world. When this container experiences something, oh my god, that's so objectifying if I think about it. But when they see this as container experiencing something that goes beyond them, it's like getting out of the container. So think of examples like bursting from joy or letting off steam. It is seen as there is something and the joy is bursting out of it, and there is something that contains the steam and wanting to letting go of that steam. Certain lyrics that I want to talk about, which I think encapsulate this particular container experience interaction, is look at how my tears ricochet. Right? Okay. The second one I think that is you've got a smile, takes me to another planet. And I use this one because even though it's not specifically talking about an emotion that she's feeling, it is talking about how someone else is influencing the way that she feels, that she's like beyond this world, beyond the self, beyond the container. And I think that is so valuable to see. So as you can probably see that with the use of metaphors, Taylor Swift enables and communicates more complex thoughts in a very simple terminology. And that is what is the crux of why metaphors are used in therapy. And that is what is the crux of why so many people love her music. Because it channels a lot of complex feelings and our individual interpretation of those feelings through those metaphors, which are as simple sounding as my tears ricochet. Not only that, research has shown that the use of metaphor allows the therapist to connect more to the client, like it allows us to move closer to the client's affect and allows us to be more empathetic and sympathetic to what they're going through. And that's probably why, as Swifties, we feel very connected to what Taylor Swift has put in her lyrics, because the use of metaphors link us to affective or emotional material, and it allows us to create this concrete images of those affective material. It helps in kind of verbalizing or processing something that's too difficult probably, and something that's not readily available to maybe think about. So when this happens in a therapeutic aspect, it allows us to connect better with the person in front of us. Looking at it from that perspective, it makes so much more sense that this person who's using metaphors and experiencing her story, experiencing her life, expressing herself through these metaphors, we are able to form a very deeper connection to what is being evoked by these metaphors. That I don't know if Carl Jung would agree, but I think Taylor Swift's music should be a part of our collective unconscious and some aspect of our archetypes in some way moving forward, right? Right? Maybe it's just me, but it makes sense because it's a collective experience. It's not just very few people, it's a lot of people who love this. So, when someone says that Taylor Swift's music seems therapeutic and has helped them go through certain emotions and process those emotions, they are not wrong. Because the use of metaphors does allow you to process emotions, does allow you to get better touch with what you're going through. Maybe not for all, but for some people it does.
And that is so, so valid. Your subjective experience to Taylor Swift or any musical artist is very valid, and that personal, individualistic connection is valued, and I hope you appreciate it as well. With that, I'm gonna end chapter 1 here, and I'm gonna continue this in the second part. So if you wanna follow along, please subscribe. If you like the video, please drop in a like. This is the final product. I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you liked it. Share this with someone who might have been mean about liking Taylor Swift, listening to her music. Go let them know this is all scientific, okay? Anyway, I hope you guys had a good time. Please like, share, subscribe. Any and all engagement is so deeply appreciated. Hope you guys have a great remaining of your day, and see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.